All right, world, welcome to another episode of Indie Music Major Business. I am your host, MUG Amillion, in the building. Again, this episode is brought to you by the great people over at Money United with Game. Feel free to go to my Instagram at MUGS_Amillion. I got the link in the bio. That way you can find Money United with Game. Visit the website, moneyunitedwithgame.com. Find out how you can purchase the book, Indie Music Major Business. It's available in the physical copy. The audio book is available right now, streaming on all major music streaming platforms. And yeah, man, what's going on, world? Thank y'all again for tuning in. Hope y'all been enjoying the show so far, enjoying my journey, enjoying my stories, my testimony through the music industry, and hope y'all receiving some major business information that y'all can use and utilize to elevate y'all careers, man. Again, the whole goal is to motivate, educate, and elevate music professionals all across the world, man. So shout out to the indie music professionals out there getting it in, grinding it out. If you're recording music as a performer, if you're writing music as a songwriter, if you're making the beats or the tracks as a producer, shout out, salute to you, man. Keep grinding, keep pushing, doing what you're doing out there. Again, I'm just hoping to pour into y'all with some motivation, a little education that can transpire into some elevation in your music career. Today, man, so speaking of indie music major business, we actually going to jump into the book today. I got a little couple little things I want to discuss directly from the book. Again, as you can see, I am the author of this book, Indie Music Major Business, a guide to your first royalty check. As you can see, man, it's not a real big book, a few pages of some great information. I got pictures inside of the actual physical copy of the book. If you order the physical copy, inside of the book, I got breakdowns of actual performance royalty layouts and stuff like that, man. So some of the information that I'm covering as far as registering your music with your performance rights organization, all of that is in the book in real time, showing a breakdown of some of the royalties that I've received over a time period of frame while I was working on the book. And yeah, some great information in here, man. Again, so today I'm coming from a section in the book, man. I want to talk to y'all because I know as an indie music professional, taking care of your major business, we want to get to the money. Again, that's why the book is titled A Guide to Your First Royalty Check. My whole goal is to ensure that you know the essential business that's needed to actually start making money from your music, man. I know we love to do it. It's a passion for a lot of us. Some of us been doing it since we were kids. And, some of us, we just love to do it, man. We're creators by nature. And we just love to record music, write music, perform music. But at the same time, this is a business, y'all. It is a business. And so where there is a business, the music business, it's business that has to be taken care of if you want to succeed, just like with any other business. So you as an artist out there, again, I want you to start looking at and understanding that you are a business. You're not just a rapper. You're not just a singer. You're a business. You as an artist are the business. You're hearing all these stories that float around on the internet from some of our OG industry performers and professionals about, signing away their publishing and not seeing the royalties and things that they're supposed to be seeing over the time. So it's enough information floating around out here on the internet, even outside of what I'm doing and, what you probably have already seen and got coming up and down your timeline on social media already. But it's enough information out there, enough stories and testimonies from previous music professionals on the business that needs to be taken care of. But I know from an indie music professional standpoint, a lot of times the information that's being put out by those that are like so high up in the music business, in the music industry or whatnot, it's hard to kind of really articulate it and perceive it and receive it the proper way. So I'm coming at y'all from somebody that's in the same predicament as y'all in most cases, man. I'm an independent music professional myself. Not signed to a record label, not signed to a major publishing company, any of that. So the Billboard plaque you see, the royalty statements that I have shown in this book, You know, all this is by way of me taking care of my own business and to ensure that I start making money from my music career. And again, like I said, so today I want to come from out of the book. Again, Indie Music, Major Business, A Guide to Your First Royalty Check. It's available, the physical copy. You can go to the website, moneyunitedwithgame.com. The link will be in the description. So just go down to the description, find that. You'll find a way that you can order the book. But also, the audio book is available on the same streaming platforms where you listen to and buy and download your music. So if you're on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, all the above, man, the audio book is there and available. All right. But we're coming out of the topic today, more money, more business. More money, more business, man. And the reason I want to come there on today's episode is because, again, a lot of artists don't understand the different ways that you can get paid from your music, right? We're in a time today where we think, oh, as long as I put my song out on the internet, you know, through DistroKid or CD Baby, one of those DSP platforms, you know, it's going to stream so many times. I start making some money. DistroKid going to pay me some money. But it's more ways than that. And the most common way, like I mentioned in a previous episode, is the Performance Rights Organization, right? The Performance Royalties. Those Performance Royalties are accumulated in so many different ways, by way of radio spins, if your song is placed on a television show or in a film, and even live performances, y'all. Live performances, right? So, real true story and testimony on my own career. I put myself, me and my team, man, shout out, like I said, to my fam over at Money United with Game for believing in me, for having my back on this, man. It's been a journey, man. That's my 20-year plaque that they presented me with. Again, like I told y'all before, if you don't remember, in a previous episode, I mentioned how Money United with Game was actually my name at one point in time. I was just MUG, a rap artist, and we elevated and grew it to a whole record label, entertainment brand. Now we're a music professional, you know, consulting company, talent management, A&R development, and things of that nature, man. But we celebrated 20 years a couple years ago, man. So that's my 20-year platinum plaque, man. That's real platinum right there alongside my #1 Billboard. But all of these things, again, man, transpired from me educating myself, for one, going to school, getting educated on how the music business actually worked, right? So in my journey of learning the music business, at one point in time as an artist, I put myself on a national tour, right? And so this is a nice way for independent artists to kind of get yourself out there as an artist. And what you do is you align yourself with, say you just kind of getting started good, or you're more of a local name in your town, and you want to take yourself to a more of a regional, you know, not even trying to go fully nationwide yet, but if you're in, say, like me being in Nashville, I want to start touching Memphis. I want to start touching Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, some of these places that are right around the corner from me, right up and down the road. It's not too far from home, but I don't have a way to build an audience or presence in front of those people, right? So some of the major business that you can take on is becoming an opening act or supportive act, right? To a up and coming, this, you know, may not be, like I said, a worldwide, nationwide artist. But for example, I did a lot of opening shows for artists out of Nashville by the name of Haystack, Jelly Roll, Lil Wyte, and people like that that were a level or two above me and had a bigger audience and range than me. And I was on the road doing shows for them. And by way of me opening up for them, I was able to expose myself and my brand and my music to their fan base. And, you know, that helped to build on to what I had going on. So joining on as a support act, you know, of course, it's going to cost you a little money. But again, the money that you're paying, right, to be a supportive act on their tour, it gives you the exposure. The venues is already locked in. The fan base is already there. So now I'm not just showing up and not performing for an open mic full of other rappers, right? I'm performing for people that are actually real deal potential fans. So when I was out on tour with them, I was learning some of the business side of it that I wasn't really all the way aware of just yet as an artist, right? So like I said, it's multiple ways to make money off your music and off your brand as a musician, an indie music professional in this business, other than just releasing your music on the internet. T-shirts and merchandise, right? I saw Haystack and Lil Wyte and them, man, they come out, Jelly Roll and them, man, they set up shop with T-shirts, hats, bandanas, lighters, you know, all these different types of merchandise with their brand or their single that they were pushing at the time attached to these different products. And this is what they were really selling and making their music, their money from though, right? Now you're talking about a time when we was doing it. Yeah, you was pushing and selling hard copy CDs and stuff like that as well and making some money from it too. But now that we're in a full-blown streaming age of releasing and putting your music out, as you've seen the numbers, like streaming's not making you any money, right? So I think it's like 1 million streams can get you like $1,500. But if you take that same $1,500, right, and you break that down into merchandise, some type of product, like these shirts, right? So I got the Money United with Gang collar shirt on right now. You know, we do these and stuff ourselves here in-house. But again, say you got your brand. For example, I got a single out, right? The video is up on YouTube. Y'all can go check all that out too. Me as an artist, MUG Amillion. Got a single out called Trying to Make It. Right? So I could sit back and hope to push and push and push to get that single Trying to Make It to 1 million streams and eventually make that $1,500. Or I could press up 50 shirts with Trying to Make It on the front of those shirts. If I sell those same 50 shirts to the fans out there that's rocking with my music, right? 50 shirts at $20 a shirt, I just made $2,000. So I made $2,000, which is $500 over the $1,500 that 1 million streams is gonna pay me with only 50 people, y'all. 50 people. And so you think about the grind and the push that it would take to get to 1 million streams, right? Versus the grind and the push that it would take to sell 50 shirts at the same $20. So again, it's more than one way to start pushing and making music, making money rather, off of your music and your brand as a music professional. More money, more business has to be taken care of though, right? So with that being said as well, if you want to stick to the performing side of it, right? Let's go on back to the supporting act situation. Some of that business that got to be taken care of is registering your music, like I spoke about before, registering your music properly with your performing rights organization, whether it be BMI, ASCAP. Me personally, I'm with CSAC. So shout out to CSAC. CSAC got a different process of being signed up with. You can't just go online and just sign up with them as a songwriter and publisher. But again, on another note, and back to the what you can do and can control is signing up with a BMI or ASCAP pretty much for free these days, right? So you get registered with that PRO, and then you get your song registered with them as well, right? Once your song is registered with them properly, now all the different type of ways that I named that you can receive performance royalties are available to you. Again, radio play, your song in a television show or film, or a commercial, whatever, anything like that where it's airing on TV. But again, one of the biggest is live performances. Again, that's what I'm talking about, me doing the supporting act, right? So you take my single at the time. I had a single out called 20 White Boys featuring Lil Wyte. Again, it's all available. And it's another single I was pushing at the time called Club Nights. So between those two songs that I was pushing and going out on the road with, I also had them registered properly. But not only that, right? On BMI in specific, at the time, that's who I was with, BMI. So BMI specifically has a section on their website that says BMI Live, right? And so on BMI Live, that same song that I had registered with them just as part of my songwriting catalog, I was going back and I was registering those live performances. Again, you're talking about these people are in real venues consisting of 500 people, 1,000 people sometimes, 3,000 people sometimes, just depending on how big of a venue it was, what city it was located in. I mean, we was doing shows everywhere in, all up and down Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, Bowling Green, Kentucky, Indianapolis, Indiana, Birmingham, Alabama. I even did, on my own outside of the supporting act, HBCU college tour. So again, all of these shows that I was doing, and while we was on the tour at the time, or the Club Nights tour, I was registering those live performances. And so what would happen was I started getting a royalty check from BMI, Performance Royalty check, for those live performances. Because see, when you go to these nightclubs, each of these venues, and I talk about it in the book, but each of these venues are set up and supposed to be registered with your BMI, your ASCAP as well, to be considered an official live performance type of venue, right? So with those venues being registered properly like that themselves, and licensed rather, they have what's called a blanket license. That's a whole nother conversation and situation that we'll get into maybe later on down the line, or you can just kind of research that for yourself. But anyhow, each of these venues have a blanket license where they have the right to let you come in there and perform. And on the back end of that, like I said, with your stuff being properly registered the way it's supposed to, you'll get paid for that live performance that night in that venue. And so that's what I was doing. I was on the national tour, all the different venues that we was performing at. It basically, like on BMI Live, so when you go to register your live performance, it basically has a section on there where you kind of fill in your show set, right? Whatever songs you actually performed. Again, you want to make sure that all those songs that you plan on performing at that show are registered properly with the PRO as well, right? And so you put down your show list. Then it's going to ask you, was it a paid event or was it a free concert? How many people was in attendance, or what's the capacity size rather of the venue? Because again, it may be a sold out show, it may not be, but the licensing and the payout is based off of the size of the venue, right? So it varies. You don't make the same amount of money every time though. So even though I made the investment to open up for these people on a supportive act situation on tour, right? This is something that all your major artists do. Like, don't get it twisted. It's not just me being out here gullible and just like, being thirsty or anxious or whatever you want to call it to try to get out. No, this is something even your major artists do. When a new artist gets signed to a Def Jam, they're going to go be the opening act for the bigger artists on a Def Jam. And sometimes that came out of a budget that they paid a promoter or paid, the higher up artists or whatnot to be added onto their tour like that. Of course, you still got to pay for traveling, accommodations, or your rooms and all of that, though, food and stuff when you're on the ground out there. Again, that's where the other products and merchandise come into play, because now you're not just depending on your music to bring you some money in, right? You got t-shirts for sale, again, bandanas, hats, lighters, everything, man. Whatever you can think of that your fan base that you feel like may be attracted to with your brand located on it, or even, like I said, the song title located on it. So that's what we was doing, man, and I noticed the difference in it. Like I would sell CDs, I would have it packaged up. You buy 2 shirts, you get a CD for free. And I was really moving and selling product. I can remember doing one show in Indianapolis, opening up for Lil Wyte, and Too Short was the headliner. So again, I'm opening up for Lil Wyte, but Lil Wyte opening up for Too Short. So it's like I became a part of a bigger situation, even by attaching myself to the person that was the next level above me. And again, man, and those people, man, they bought me out of shirts that night. They loved me up in Indianapolis, man. They was loving what we was doing, and they supported us to the fullest. And so again, when I say more money, more business, again, to make more money in the music business, you have to take care of more business. So as an indie music professional, I just want you to understand, again, it's more than one way to make money off your music and off yourself as a brand. You have to start treating yourself as a brand, because you are the brand, man. You are the business. Again, indie music, major business, man. We're going to keep it right there for today. And again, I hope y'all learned something out of that episode. We got more to come. Again, check the description, hit the links that's in the description, find me on Instagram, follow your boy, send me any direct questions that you may want me to discuss or talk about on one of the next episodes. Again, go check out the book if you haven't already, Indie Music Major Business, A Guide to Your First Royalty Check. It's available on the streaming platforms, available on the website, moneyunitedwithgame.com. Link in the bio, link in the description. Holler at your boy. MUG Amillion is in the building. Let's get y'all paid, man, for the music y'all done made. Let's go. Yeah.